Alright, I went and got another piece of the same 16 gauge that I've been using to make the shroud. And now all we're going to do is position it on the metal and line up the straight edges with the straight edge of the shroud. And then all we do, come in here with our pin and just trace around the edge. Just being real careful to keep everything positioned. And there we go, that's it. As you can see there, I got the outline trace. Now that is the outside edge. And so what I'm going to do when I'm cutting this out, I'm actually going to try and cut on my line. Because, think about it, the inside of that line is the outer edge of the shroud. I'll bring it back in here and show you. So you can see where the little bump there where the weld seam is. The inside edge of the line is the outer edge of the shroud. So cut on your line, because I want it to fit pretty flush, and maybe even just a little bit smaller than the outer dimensions of this shroud, so that I get a good weld all the way around. I'll probably just do a series of little 1-inch stitch welds, but I want it to fit nice. So when you're doing this, just be sure to cut on your line. That way you get correct dimensions. This will be, there'll be some grinding involved in shaping, but that's how this goes when you're trying to make a radius piece like this. Something with square edges, really easy to make. Something with radius edges takes a little more work. So, but we'll get to work on that and see how it comes out. Okay, here's our outer shroud cover, and you can see we still got some squared off edges. I've done everything that I could do with the cutoff disc. So now it's time to come in here, switch to the flap wheel grinding disc, and get these radiuses smoothed out. So I'll just get that disc swapped over, and we'll get going on that. And there we go. We got our disc. We got the edges and everything radiused with the grinding wheels. Now we'll just test it on top of our existing shroud and see how everything fits. I'd call that pretty good. Plenty of area to weld on, and I'm happy with it. So anyway, I got something kind of cool in mind planned for this outside cover, so I'll just have to show you guys along the way. So keep watching. Alright, all you can see now is a little bit of a grid pattern that I drew onto this piece of plate steel. So now, and some other things that I have done, they're a little hard to see, but I center punched some holes, and basically I'm going to drill a series of holes in this outer cover. They're going to be a 1/2 inch diameter, and then there's, that's not the cool part. I'll show you the little tool that I'm going to use a little bit later. But this is where we're going to start, so I'll go get my little 1/8 inch pilot bit and my little step drill bit, and we'll start drilling these out. Alright, here you can see I got all the 1/2 inch holes drilled out of this side cover for the chain shroud, and what I'm going to show you here is the cool little tool that I'm going to use. It's called a dimple die, and like I said, it's called a dimple die, and what it does is it makes flared holes. As you can see on this piece, there's a dowel and a little bit of a ramped area, and on this piece there's a hole for that dowel and a little recessed machine area that matches this raised area on this one die. And what they do is when you put them together, they pinch together and it creates a flared hole. Some guys call these speed holes. I believe that is a reference to a Simpsons episode. Other guys just call them cool guy holes. Some people just call them flared holes. Some people just call them dimple dies. But that's what I'm going to use on our new little side cover. I'll come in here, fits in there like that. We'll stick that on the back side and we'll clamp it down. We'll be using the bench vise for doing this. Okay, so we got our our little side template. We're out here next to the bench vise, and what we're going to do is we're going to be making flared holes in this. So the first thing to do is to take the little dowel side. I want the holes to flare out the back side. So this side has the raised area. So what we'll do is we'll stick it in that hole, come in here with our other little die, and you can see this is the one with the flared end on it. That goes on there like that. We bring it up here into the bench vise, and all we do is we just crank down on it. And that's good. You really got to pinch down on this real hard, especially on this. This is 16 gauge. So we just take it all apart, and hopefully that'll focus. There you go. And right there we have one flared hole. So now I just got to come in and do the rest of these, and then the whole panel will be done and be ready to weld it onto the other part of the shroud. Okay, and here's our finished plate. You see we got all the little holes squished. There's the back side of it. And you do get, as you can see, you do get a little deformation in the entire panel. So you kind of got to muscle that back into square. Let's see if I can do that real quick. The idea of adding dimple dies like this is to add strength to a flat panel. So it's basically the same as running a bead on there if you had a bead roller or a flanging tool or something like that. But that's not bad. I got a little bit of the curve out of it. Might be able to get a little bit more. But anyway, I'll have to muscle on that a little bit more. But let me get it set on here. Oh, that's not too bad. I can just pinch that as I weld it. That'll be alright. So there you can see we've got it, basically our finished chain shroud. Just needs to be welded on, but tell you the truth, I'm kind of tired for the night. It's time to take the dog for a walk and eat some dinner and chill out and upload the videos I made. So in another video, probably tomorrow, I'll come in here and I'll weld this outer plate to the rest of the shroud. But there's the outer shroud. I'm happy with it. I think it looks kind of cool. So I guess until tomorrow, thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.